everybody, in this video we're wearing maroon. Stay tuned. We're also going to talk about Pacific Rim Uprising.
When everybody hates it, we think it's okay. When everybody likes it, we gotta complain. We're quite contrary.
Thank you, and welcome to Quite Contrary. We've got 99 problems, common sense ain't one. I'm Zach Nanimus.
Johnny Dim.
And today, as we said before, we are going to be talking about Pacific Rim Uprising. Now, Johnny and I actually really like this movie.
It's a good movie.
We liked it so much. We got an advanced screening of it, and we liked it so much that we went ahead and wrote an episode that was going to go negative, because whenever it's a good movie, we go negative.
We assumed other people would like it.
Yes. And that didn't happen, so we had to kind of rewrite everything specifically for this one. But if you haven't seen it yet, please go do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Is it predictable? Yes. Are there stellar performances in it? Not from everybody, but it's a fighting robot movie.
Right, and that's what's fun about it. That's the part we like.
We really liked Pacific Rim Uprising. Everybody else hated it.
Here's what rocks about it. Number 1. Crazy robot action.
Crazy robot action. That's what this whole movie's about.
Yes!
What are you doing?
Oh, so we kind of already went into this, but we're just going to expand on it a little bit further. So this movie is in the same vein, of course, like we said before, King Kong, Godzilla. Those are the main two, but I mean, we've had...
I would even throw in like stuff like snakes on a plane.
Exactly, and it's like, okay, nowadays we call it popcorn flicks, is what we call them. It's like movies, you turn your brain off, you go in there, and you just kind of just enjoy the ridiculousness of what's going on.
The spectacle.
The spectacle. That's the word I'm looking for. It's the spectacle of what's on the film, on the screen, on the film.
It is on the film.
Is it?
Really slowly. I think one of my favorite things about the robot action was, and like I saw it in the previews, is that it was very evident that there were going to be 4 individual fighting robots, and they were all slightly different color, and they all had a slightly different weapon.
We've talked about this in another episode. You wanted Power Rangers.
I wanted Power Rangers, but with more Megazords.
Right. Get rid of the kung fu or whatever. Just robots.
And I really think they did it in this movie, because they had they had the one that had like a gravity hook,
right?
That could like pull buildings onto it, and then they had another one that had like a ball and chain, and they had another one that had like a gun in its chest, and weirdly they had a lightsaber robot, which is interesting because they've tried that before in the movies. Number 2, you do not have to see the first one. This is something that is kind of difficult to do. They do it a lot in the Harry Potter books, where they kind of over-explain themselves in the beginning in order to give you context for what you're reading, watching, etc. But the thing is that not every movie can pull this off, and a lot of movies don't even try. It would have been very easy to just dump us into the middle of this story because there are common characters, themes, and events. But instead, they went ahead and they had John Boyega do kind of a soliloquy in the beginning, explaining everything that happened in the first movie, and that's all the context you need.
No, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. One set of movies that is not good at this is Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Books are actually pretty good at it, though. Because there's actually practice doing that when you're watching you're reading like a trilogy of something. They're usually pretty good at summing up things, at least books I've read. But for whatever movies, certain movies just aren't very good at it.
Well, in a book, you have an infinite amount of time
right.
to get it out. Like, it takes, 2-3 years to read a novel on average?
Yeah.
But, in a movie, the length of time, even a very long movie, is a particular length of time for a particular reason.
Correct.
It's extremely formulaic. This one had 2 advantages. One, they had John Boyega working on, and John Boyega is just fun to listen to, even when he's almost difficult to understand, because he has a very thick Cockney accent, which kind of, in a way, it makes me mad, because I watch Star Wars. I know he can pronounce words correctly, and also, the events of this movie happened 10 years after the first one.
Yep.
And so we have pretty much a whole new cast of characters. The last movie, apparently, I didn't see the movie. That's one of the things we noticed. We still enjoyed this movie without having seen the first one.
Yeah.
Or at least I didn't finish it. I've seen about 20 minutes of it.
I saw less than that.
Wasn't a fan, honestly. it was apparently in the previous one they solved the problem. No more kaijus, and so like there wasn't even a reason to make a sequel, and so they had to set up a brand new conflict in this way.
And they could have bumbled it. Like, they could have really screwed it up, because there's a lot of key things in this movie that you need to understand, because these giant robots, they don't just operate like giant robots. There's a very particular way that they have to operate. They require two different people to operate them.
They use the swirl, is that what they call it?
Drift.
The drift.
They explain very well how that kind of works without going super in depth with it. Essentially, those two operators have to be linked basically by some type of brain cable. Is that like a type of USB? I think it's USB 4.0.
I think there's some sort of transceiver that's picking up brain waves and then connects into the other.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is a thing that could be really complicated, and they could have really screwed this up, and you've just been like, so how does this work? But that's not how it worked, because they actually explained pretty well in a very short amount of time how that works.
Now, one of the things about this is that, once again, movie magic has made me a little jealous, because I think it would be nice to actually be able to go into an uncomfortable situation and kind of mull over the first part so we can all just move on.
What do you mean? Okay, who clogged the toilet?
People in this world are always pointing fingers, trying to blame the little guy for the mistakes of the past.
So you did do it?
Around here, the past doesn't matter.
It does.
People like to pretend it does. Maybe there were some events, moments in time that shook our world to its core. But that was 10 years ago.
It was just now! It's still wet in there!
But what all those naysayers and fat cats don't realize is that I also crashed Johnny's car last night.
What? Number 3. John Boyega.
This is my John Boyega dance.
Okay, most of us know John Boyega from Star Wars.
Yes.
And
he was Captain Phasma.
That's not true. But we learned to love Finn because he was a good-humored...
He was a good-humored... he was a Bluebell and Dryers.
My point is that we've already learned to like the guy, and he's continued that same type of character that he was in Star Wars in Pacific Rim Uprising.
Something he made very evident in Star Wars is that he's a gifted improvisationalist.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of things that are very obviously off the cuff, and he does it in this movie, and he does it to great effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes, I'm not the biggest fan of improv, but even some of his improv in this movie made me laugh. It had a lot of people in the movie theater rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He's absolutely charming.
Yeah, it made him very likable.
Absolutely.
One of the issues with it is that it feels like they didn't rein him in often enough.
Right.
Because often he doesn't quite match the tone of the movie.
No, the gravity of the situation that this world is in, is one of peril and near complete world destruction.
Yes.
And you never saw that in his face once. Not once.
Well, early on in the movie, they don't really face that. They believe the kaiju problem is done.
Correct. You're right there. But we get there, but halfway through the movie, he knows.
But also in the first half of the movie, his sister dies.
Correct.
And
he gets really angry at one point.
In a super tragic way, too.
Yeah.
And he's there, and he kind of blames himself because he was in a Jaeger at the time, and he couldn't caught it.
Almost got her.
And so there's a lot of gravity to this part of the movie, and that afternoon in movie time, and 2 minutes for the audience, he's back at the hangar cracking jokes and getting into the simulator. They never let that necessarily land. And I don't think that has so much to do with John Boyega as it does the way that the movie was edited or the choices that they made as far as the shot list and things.
Sure, it may not be entirely his fault, but...
Well, that's why the John Boyega thing is a positive. We like him in the movie.
We like him, yeah, he's great.
Just use him better. And honestly, it really does come back to tone. It made me feel like his character Jake was like this sociopath that didn't realize what was going on around him. First, I'd like to say thank you all for being here today to honor our dearly departed friend Adam. Adam was
telling my dad, so I went home and I was like, Dad, I've just been cast in Star Wars, and he was just like...
Adam was a friend, a father, a son, a husband, and
oh my God!
Me,
you are in Star Wars?
Source of inspiration.
That is fantastic! I knew it!
Quiet.
What is Star Wars?
In the back. Doing a thing. Thank you. For Adam,
This is the problem with
happiness was about
stormtrooper
the
suits.
happiness
See, I have legs.
And I
I
think that
squat.
can we stop?
And so when you have thick legs like mine,
Thank you, John. Gotta finish here. For Adam,
it can feel like
happiness
that.
was
I'm with you.
about
I
the
feel you on
happiness
that.
But you know, they
of-
took
No,
out the
come
armpits, but
on!
you do look pretty
Would somebody
good.
get him out of here, please?
I stood there.
We're gonna need another casket. And that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you guys that if you didn't hit that subscribe button before, do it now. We also want to talk about the fact that we are a fan-funded channel. So if you're curious about what we do for our patrons, go down into the description. There's going to be a link there, and check out our Patreon page. It's going to be cool.
There's videos. There'll be links all over our faces, all around the screen here. In a minute. In a second.
In a hot minute.
In a hot minute.
Ah!
Check out the other videos. Thanks for stopping by.
That minute was hot!